and sunny East Coast.
I wish.
We have Alphonse, our good friend. I call him Alpha Dog, but Alphonse is his name. How you doing, Alphonse?
Good. I wish I was on the warmer side of the climate here. Not too nice. We just had no snow here yesterday. Not good.
Oh, well, yeah. I hope you'll visit us here in sunny Hawaii one day. That would be awesome, and you can entertain the folks here with some of your stories.
Oh, I would.
So today, I'm just going to give a disclaimer. We're doing this for entertainment and educational purposes only. Okay, we're not practicing law or attempting to speak for law, but we have a few little stories, anecdotes, and things along the way. And actually, I do want this to be fun. And Alphonse is fun. He does have a good sense of humor, which is necessary for what he does, because he is really like a brain surgeon. Basically, he opens the brain of all the opposing counsel, attorneys, judges, and rearranges their noodle and gives them a new rear end, too. I'm not sure if you're a proctologist or what you are, but you do tend to rip them some new openings. So without further ado, tell us, Alphonse, a little about yourself and what do you do and how did you start doing it?
Well, my background's actually in music. I spent 30 years in the music industry as a recording engineer and record producer, and worked on a lot of big R&B groups like Teddy Pendergrass, Patti LaBelle, Levert, OJ, Stephanie Mills, James Ingram. It was the who's who of R&B at the time. I worked at a big studio called Sigma Sound in Philly, and the music, the whole technology with file sharing, and everybody stopped doing albums, and nobody toured. People tour to make money. Now they don't tour to promote albums anymore. So eventually, it's not that entire industry collapsed. There's a few people in the industry that actually make money at the very top of the league, at the top 1% in that industry. So how I got into this, I just got tired of people telling me what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and just started picking up little pieces. I started with like a guy named Bill Fortin. He's a really good resource to listen to from. You'll find a lot of his seminars on YouTube, the common law stuff, and a lot from a guy like Mark. I highly recommend getting the book's like $10 to download from Amazon. It's called Indicted. It'll start to deprogram you as far as what they're doing to you, how they talk to you, and what presumptions they're making about you that you never thought about before until you actually were presented with it. And Mark does a really good job explaining that. I recommend guys like if you can find Robert Fox on YouTube. He's got a 2-hour seminar up there. Real good to listen to, and Fox has a lot of credibility. He used that's a great book. And Fox used affidavits. He was well known for using affidavits, and the U.S. government came after Fox 10 times, and I think they got like a 99.8% conviction rate, and Robert Fox beat him every time. So you get somebody with a track record like that, you start to listen to them and figure out what they're doing. There's merit to what they're doing. Highly recommend I think what's called the Texas Republic. There's a channel on YouTube. There's a guy named Curry who does a lot of conference calls. Highly recommend listening to that. He's along the line of Mark Stevens on like crack, basically, because Curry will take the most basic word and turn it on its head. But this is the stuff you have to do when you're dealing with these people. You've got to understand that what they're doing is they're using a language against you. You and I speak a common language. I'll speak of a person, referencing a friend, a neighbor, as a person. A person in law has a totally different definition. And if you go in there calling yourself a person in their system, you're going to attach all kinds of duties, obligations, release upon you. So you gotta rework the language and understand really what they're doing is they're speaking like a language they call legalese. They'll take a word and flip it on its head, and you think you have one meaning of what it is in your head, and they're treating it like something totally different. So you got to get that stuff down. But little by little, I sort of got drug into this, I'd say about 1.5 years ago, when I got in a conflict with the sewer authority. They wanted me to pay them their tax. And it's funny how things happen. My mom passed away about a year and a half ago, and I was getting ready to go head to head with the property tax people. And right after she passed, I just had so much to juggle. Wasn't really in the mood to be fighting with anybody. And I had a tax bill come in from the sewer authority, and I figured, you know what, I'm just going to pay this thing and get it over with. And for some reason, I couldn't log in on the website. Just wouldn't let me in. I didn't pick the fine intervention. It was the
They knew. They knew.
I just couldn't get in. And I started, I couldn't log in. I'm thinking, you know what? What if I try and fight this? Let me try some stuff here. And so the letters went back and forth between me and the attorney, and I was still sort of very green with the process of really knowing how things work. And funny thing, man, I called, the creator. A lot of times he'll take you down a path you just don't want to go down. You don't want to be down that path, but you'll be forced down that path. But what you'll figure out is it's probably the best thing happened to you to go down that path, because as you're going down that path, you're going to learn things you've never known or never seen before. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened in this situation with the sewer authority, because the attorney filed a fraudulent claim against me. And you get this letter in the mail. It says, there's a judgment against you, and then this is all new to me. And, I knew the basics. I took the jurisdictionary course, highly recommend it. Not a cheap course. It'll cost you about $250, but highly recommend it. It'll give you the overview of how a trial works and how discovery works. Things you need to know, basics you need to know. And so I got drugged into this process, and I tried to use some of the stuff I learned from jurisdictionary with the sewer authority. And what you'll come to learn is in their system, their corrupt system, doesn't matter how good your motions are and how relevant they are, they just get ignored. They're just going to ignore them and they're just going to proceed. You hear the dogs in the background.
Yeah.
And shut the door. And they're going to proceed against you. But through that, I was able to, the guy who filed the suit, he's one of the top, they call him a solicitor. He's an attorney in the area. He works for the sewer authority, different townships. And I was able to back him off. I was able to get him on his heels. And as I was able to push him off enough that as things were happening, I got to learn more and more and pick up more knowledge and more knowledge, because I started analyzing what they were doing against me. And I started taking it apart. And once I learned about the affidavit process, and once I took the stuff that Stevens talks about in his book to heart, Ted, you still there?
Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah, I'm listening. I got you. Go ahead. All right.
As I start learning Mark Stevens' process, which is basically to question everything. Don't give them an inch, basically. Anything they claim or state, the most minor thing, you challenge.
Okay, just 1 second. All right, let me just back up. You're telling us now how to go in and enter a courtroom as your own attorney or without an attorney, or how to do everything on your own. This is what's so unique about it. Number one, that's the first thing. You don't use attorneys. You have your own way of doing things that you've discovered kind of the hard way. And these are like very, very deep secrets but powerful thing. You've helped me with a couple of cases recently. I've been shocked at the power just of these simple things called the affidavits. And forgive me for interrupting, but I just want people to understand. You're going to explain how you did this on your own without a high-priced attorney and actually succeed. And you learned, and now you're helping other people. Is that right? You're helping other people.
And the first thing, like rule number one, is know thy enemy. Okay, and a lot of times people are confused. They think you got many enemies, but the main enemy you have that you're facing, it's the Bar Association. If you want to talk about the most corrupt, satanic, unethical, just dirtballs are attorneys, and the Bar Association has basically taken over what people consider their government. They've taken over the judicial branch. They own that. They pretty much own the legislative branch, because all these Congress people and senators that they're dirtballs themselves, most of them are ex-attorneys or involved with the legal profession. And look, you've even had 2 past presidents recently that were attorneys. And so what you need to understand about the Bar Association is it's a big club and you're not a member of it. Just like the famous comedian would say. What was his name?
George Carlin.
It's a big club and you're not a member of it. So
what is bar? Define bar. What is bar? People, they have to get a card when you go to law school. You pass the bar exam, you get a bar card. What does bar mean, actually?
Well, they claim it means British Accreditation Registry. Now, here's the weird thing. They keep stating that you need a license to practice law. There's no such thing as a license to practice law, okay? When an attorney passes the bar exam, he's allowed membership into this elite group called the Bar Association. They give him a bar card with a number on it. It's a private association, the bar, okay? It's not a government association. If they're not a government association, they can't issue licenses, okay? They're not allowed to issue licenses. So no attorney has a license. So when you hear somebody say you need a license to practice law, it's garbage. There's no such thing as a license to practice law. They have bar cards, okay? And what you need to understand is it's actually written in their own documents, the Bar Association is, bar members, their very first duty is to the court. And then their other duty is to the Bar Association. And you as their client, you're low man on the totem pole. Another thing we need to understand.
You mean they actually, they put the court above the client?
Court's number one. First duty is to the court, okay?
And number two is to whom?
Bar Association.
Oh, yeah. And then who else then? You're number three, or where are you?
On the list. Yeah, you're low man on the totem pole. They don't care about you. And you need to understand, this will shock people, but you understand that when a judge hears a matter and there's a money judgment in a matter against somebody like you or me, that judge gets a piece of that in his retirement fund, okay? That goes to their retirement funds.
What? Wait a minute. You
Yeah.
mean a commission? You get in a commission?
Yes, yeah, sort of like a commission. There's a piece of that goes to the judge's retirement fund. So let's see. We in a typical court matter, first thing everyone's taught is go get an attorney. So let's see what's happening here. The judge is a member of the bar. The prosecutor is a member of the bar. Your attorney's the member of the bar. So all three of them are in this private association that you're not in, okay? And their first duty is to the court. And what's the court's first duty? Is it to administer justice? No. The court's first duty is to make revenue, to take revenue from you and me.
What?
Okay? It's a commercial entity. That's the only reason courts exist. They're not these courts that I'm talking about. These are not Article 3 courts. Okay? These are corporate courts. And that's any court that you see is basically it's a corporate court. It's an administrative court. It's created by Congress. Okay? So yeah, a bit of a conflict of interest that the guy up there in the black dress, he whatever money he could extract from you, that's going to go to his little retirement fund over there. The attorney that's facing you, the prosecutor, what he don't want you to know is every proceeding has to be bonded, means like insured, because in case he causes damage to somebody, he's got to have insurance to cover this matter. They don't want you to know that. So he don't want you to know that if he loses, he's responsible for the bond, okay? So he don't want you to know that. And so they're in cahoots with each other. The attorneys, that's why an attorney, your attorney facing a prosecutor in front of a judge, your attorney's always trying to cut a deal, okay? He's never going to represent you the way he could represent you. I mean, I've helped them with affidavits, to create affidavits to file in matters that they're involved in. And they were already assigned the public defender, or they had an attorney. And I don't tell people what to do. I don't tell them to drop their attorney. I don't want to get involved in that. That's your life, your decision. You do what you want to do. But I'll help with the paperwork, and I'll give them the paperwork. And I provided a paperwork that pretty much I think would probably knock the attorney out of the box, and get the case dismissed. Or they'd have a lot of problems if they didn't dismiss it. And the attorneys, to the man, which are many, they would say, I can't submit this. I think you ran into that with I don't want to go into detail, but you ran into that with a matter. I can't submit this.
You wouldn't do it. Let me ask you, just another thing. You mentioned corporation, things like that. Can you enlighten the viewers? There's something very deep about corporate things that we common folks don't know, but that's the whole game, you could call it, is rigged on that. And can you tell us what is this corporate structure we hear about?
Yeah, everything in their system is commercial law. In other words, that court has no, unless you damage somebody, you injured another man or woman, or you damaged their property. Nobody should be messing with you at all. And anything you get from a court or from a township or a borough or a county, that's all based on corporate law. It's a corporation making a claim against you. And what you need to understand is corporations are not real. I mean, you know that right by that, they have to file for a fictitious name, doing business as. So they're fictitious entities. And that includes your county, your borough, your township, your city, whatever, wherever you live.
Your country also.
Your
right?
country. Yeah, your country.
So when you drive in,
that group in Washington called the United States, that's not your government, okay? It's not your government, people. That's a municipal corporation. It's a corporation that was set up in, I think, about 1871. That's not your government. They're not your leaders. And stop thinking of them as your leaders. That's your problem. Okay, they've got you dumbed down to a point where you think these people are your leaders and they're going to do things for you. They're not. Okay, they're all in the same. They're all in the same big club, and you're not a member of it. Okay.
So they're also they're registered like corporation, like with the Dun and Bradstreet and things like that.
Yeah, you could look at your county or your borough, and you can go on Dun and Bradstreet. It's free. Go do a search on their name, and you may have trouble finding. They might come up with a lot of listings, but they're in there, and you'll find a listing for them, and you can have them for free. You can just click on the link, and it'll email you their Dun and Bradstreet number. Okay. That means that they're a municipal corporation, okay? And what you have to, the great thing with Mark Stevens' book is, like, I'm not a fan of Star Wars. I hate the Star Wars, the whole thing. But I love the line from Yoda when he says, "You must unlearn what you have learned."
Right.
Exactly what this is about. You have been taught and indoctrinated through school and through your family and through your friends, and that, this is how we do things and this is how it's done and you can't fight it, blah, blah, blah. It's an indoctrination. It's not how things are. So you've got to unlearn what you've learned.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So you're telling me and us that our government is a corporation, is a for-profit business, basically, and the judges, the attorneys, and all that are like officers of the corporate, like McDonald's, and they're in it to make money. Is that what we're facing when we think we're going for justice and right and the American way?
Yeah, and that's not theory. That's not my theory or something I'm throwing out there. That's a fact. Okay, that's how it is. These are corporate entities. Okay, the only difference between a county or a township or a borough and McDonald's or Taco Bell is Taco Bell sells tacos, McDonald's sells burgers, and your local township or your local city, they sell basically municipal services. They're a municipal corporation masquerading as a government. They are not, like I said, they are not a real entity. Like if the the township files something against me, the township of Aston, there's no entity there's no such thing as the township of Aston. We go to court. I can't cross-examine the township of Aston. Is Mr. and Mrs. Aston here? I need to speak with them. I need some questions here I need answered. So that's part of what the bar does is that your local politicians, your bureaucrats, everything's being run by the Bar Association. So think of your local bureaucrats, your mayors, your whoever, town manager, whoever they are. They're just puppets that the Bar Association is controlling. The Bar Association, the puppeteers, they control the little guys. They tell them what to say and when to do it. And you really start to learn that is anytime you get involved with these people and you send a simple record request and asking for information, and it's anything more than a basic request, it goes right to the attorney. The attorney's got to answer it. Wait a minute. You're a corporation over here making claims against me. I sent a record request to you, the entity or person making the claim against me. Why did you send it off to this private contractor called an attorney who I have no relation with? So you can't support your own claims. You're not competent enough to speak or talk about your own claims and support them. You need some Bar Association member to speak for you and to answer things that you can't answer. But last I checked, I think that's called witness tampering, because if we were in a case and I was deposing the borough manager and he brings his attorney in, which he'll do, the attorney will sit there, the attorney can't speak in the matter. So when I'm deposing this person and I'm asking this borough manager questions, the attorney can't answer the questions for him. And if he does, it's witness tampering, okay? Isn't that the same thing that the borough or the township or the county are doing when you're sending record requests in or asking questions and they tell you, I can't answer that, you got to talk to my attorney? Wait a minute. Why would I want to talk to some attorney who's got nothing to do with me? And you'll quickly learn this when you have any kind of dealings one-on-one with these people. I took like the head property assessor in the county of Delaware, and within 3 questions, I had him crying for his attorney. Oh, I can't answer that. He was so certain of himself. At question 1, question 2, he was certain of himself. Like question 3, you got to talk to the attorney. So I let him right off the plank, basically. I walked him down the plank, and I showed him, there you go, buddy. That's where you're going. And he figured it out that he don't know what the hell he's talking about. Like when you ask the right questions, they start to figure out. Like when he said to me, the property is going to be reassessed, Mr. Faggiolo. You have property in the county. I said, I don't understand what you're talking about, that I have property in the county of Delaware. Are you stating my physical land and my property or on the county's physical land? And he got so upset, he got so flustered, he hollered out, yes. And the records coordinator that was sitting there with him, that brought him into the meeting to try and calm me, to quell me down, she jumped up and said, John, you can't say that. You can't say that. And she see me smiling because his claim was ridiculous. Then my next question to him was, Mr. Van Zelst, what evidence do you have of that? That my land is on the county's land. He said, it's your deed. That's your problem. See, you made a mistake. You should have got your deed from the recorder. You didn't read your deed. I said, how's my deed evidence of anything? He said, it says right there in your deed, your property's in Delaware County. I said, Mr. Van Zelst, how does the term in Delaware County create a legal obligation upon me or my property to your municipal corporation called the County of Delaware? Silence. You got to talk to Kelly Sullivan and Jim Byrne. They're solicitors. You got to talk to them. Mr. Van Zelst, why would I want to talk to attorneys that have nothing to do with me? An attorney that has no jurisdiction in anything involving me, no legal standing in anything involving me, no personal knowledge of anything involving me. Why do I need to, for your claims that you're making against me sitting here, why do I need to go speak to some other guy or some other girl about your claims? You can't support your claims? You got to talk to the solicitor.
Well, let's talk about 1 minute. All right, we'll talk about evidence and witnesses, and we're going to get to affidavits, which is your strong suit. But let's just define. I mean, what is a witness? What can he do? What does he have to do to be a witness? And who can be a witness and make testimony in the court?
Yeah, and this is another thing that they pulled the wool over your eyes, and they let attorneys walk into court and speak against them. And what you need to understand in every matter, I don't care if it's administrative or a judicial proceeding. There's only 2 types of proceedings. One's a judicial proceeding, with a jury, and you have a trial. And one's an administrative procedure, administrative hearing, where you have a judge who acts as the jury. He's the jury and the judge. He's actually the prosecutor too, because he's helping the prosecutor out as much as he can. So you got to understand that in order for something to be moved against, you need to have a witness in the matter, and this has even been codified in their laws, their ass backwards laws that they have. It's been codified. It's usually under Rule 602, state and federal laws, that in order to be a witness, and it's even a maxim of law, in order to be a witness in any matter, you need to have personal knowledge of the matter. You need to have direct personal knowledge of the matter. So somebody can't tell you something or tell you about something and you take action. That's not personal knowledge of a matter. Personal knowledge is you have to be there, a witness to it, and know it for certain, and that you can testify that you know for certain that thing is true. And what you'll understand and come to learn, anytime you have an attorney coming after you or coming against you, he's got no personal knowledge of anything. Somebody told him something, or he took it upon himself to file something against you based on his opinion, okay? He's got no personal knowledge of any matter involving anything with you. So if there's no witness over here coming at you, there's no case. And once you learn how to sort of bring that out and bring that forward, that's where your power's at. It's not in this UCC 1 financing statement stuff and I'm this, I'm that, and I filed this paper. And no. It's about you bring things down to the basics of truth, and you bring things down to elemental things. You challenge everything. Like when I went against the sewer authority, or you go against anybody, a traffic ticket, anybody you go against, what you'll notice is the prosecutor over on the other side or the attorney on the other side, when the hearing starts, what you'll notice is everybody puts their notice of appearance in, and the fake attorney over here will state, I'm John Michael Sheridan, I'm attorney for the sewer authority. And people let that go. Now, here's what just happened. When you let that go and you don't bring that up, this guy called this attorney over here with his little bar card, he just told you that he's going to speak for Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck over here, okay? He's going to speak for a fictional entity called the sewer authority. And he's going to speak against you. He's going to make allegations against you, and he's going to speak for this fiction. Now, how are you supposed to defend yourself when somebody's speaking for a fictional entity against you? You know, can I bring Mickey Mouse into court and say, hey, Mickey's got some rights here. I'm going to speak for Mickey. I'm Alphonse Faggiolo. I'm going to speak for Mickey here. But that's what that attorney's doing when he brings you into court. He's claiming to speak for a fiction that doesn't exist. So the first thing you want to do in a matter like that, objection. You stun the judge. He's going to wonder, gosh, just putting his appearance in. This is what you do. This is what we do every day. You know, they put appearances in continuously. 1,000 times a day. Nobody says nothing. Objection. We objected to Mr. Faggiolo. I don't see any principle here that gave this guy authority to act on their behalf. Well, he's the solicitor for the sewer authority. Oh, I don't care who he is, who he says he is. Sir, do you accept hearsay in your court? No court can accept hearsay. You need to have personal knowledge of a matter. Sir, I don't know who this guy is. Never seen him before. Don't know anything about him. All I know is he's some guy with a bar card over here claiming to speak for a fiction of law called the sewer authority. I don't see any evidence that any man or woman from the sewer authority granted him agency to take actions against me and to file this stuff against me. Is there a principle here, sir? I need to question the principle. And I would stick on that because what you're doing is exposing the fraud that they're running against you. They're letting attorneys speak for fictions of law against you. And when that attorney comes in and says he's speaking for the sewer authority, what proof does he have of that? Is there a man or woman from the sewer authority that's going to get on that stand and risk being put under penalty of perjury and being taken apart and claim that they told this attorney to do these things to you, to file this stuff against you? There's nobody coming at you from the other side. Nobody from the sewer authority is going to get on that stand and state that they hired this guy to do these things to you, because it's suicide for them. It's commercial suicide, liability.
So what did they try to do to you? Let's see, as you are now the other side, you come in, either you have an attorney or you don't have an attorney, or they try to make you pro se. Yeah. What tricks did they play with you on that, with the words? And they do use a form of magic, like word magic. I don't like to use that term. But
no, there is magic. It's
like a spell. It's like a spell they put on you.
If I could say words to you and change reality,
yeah,
that's a spell. Okay, that's a magic spell.
Yeah.
If I could change reality with words, wouldn't that be a magic spell?
Yes. Yeah.
That's exactly what they're doing to you. When you walk into that court and you just judge starts asking you questions, you start interacting with the judge. In their world, their twisted world, you have granted them general jurisdiction, which means you've granted the court jurisdiction to hear this matter. You don't even know you did it. You're just answering questions. So the first thing you do when you walk into court is you state that I'm here by special appearance. This matter. And part of the matter is I'm challenging the jurisdiction of this court and the jurisdiction of the plaintiff, the alleged plaintiff over here, the moving party. That's the only reason I'm here. And sir, I'm here under force, threat, and duress. I'm not here under consent. I'm not here willingly. I'm here under force, threat, and duress, because if I'm not here, you're going to get some armed thugs and send them out to my house with a warrant to arrest me, or you're going to do some horrible bad thing to me because I didn't show up. So I'm not here under my own under my consent. I'm here under force, threat, and duress. So first thing, I establish that when I walk into court. Second thing I establish is I reserve all my rights.
Okay. Now, why do you do that? Why do you have to do that?
Because in their twisted world, if you don't reserve your rights, they'll take that you're waiving. You've chose to waive your rights. And listen, your rights don't come from the Constitution. Your rights don't come from pieces of paper. Your rights come from your Creator. I don't care if you believe in God or not, or you believe in nature, however you got here.
Right.
Whatever brought you here, you were granted natural rights by whatever brought you here. Okay?
Declaration of Independence actually starts with that.
Starts with that, but that document doesn't grant you anything. Okay, it's just it's a confirmation that you were granted these rights. And I'll tell people, I'll tell people right now. Listen, you just look at the like Crow 777 calls it the sky clock. You look at the way the moon and the stars.
Right.
And if you don't understand that that's a intelligent design. That it didn't come randomly from some big bang, okay? Something created that precision. The sun and that moon are precise. The precession of the stars is precise. When you understand that that's a sky clock up there, and that can only come from divine creation, there's got to be a creator. Whatever you want to call it, there's a creator. And I'm going to tell you right now, unless you come to terms, and you can state you want to be an atheist, whatever, I don't think you're going to make it through this process if you're an atheist. You're not, okay? There have been times where I can't explain it. I've been stuck on stuff, and I've been banging my head against the wall, and I'll say, just give me the knowledge. Just give me some knowledge to push through this. And boom, a YouTube video pops up randomly or something, as they pop up, and it addresses that matter. Where something I read, bang, exactly what I needed. And the pieces start to come together now. They all start to weave together, like a big quilt. It's all starting to come together now.
Amazing.
I got this piece, and you start to put the pieces together. So if you don't believe that there's a creator, you're gonna have a tough time making it through this system, okay? Because you're gonna be challenged. And let me explain it to you the most basic way. If your rights don't come from a divine being, a creator, then your rights come from them. Government, okay?
It's not good.
That's how they look at it, right? And you to believe that you're this Big Bang thing, and everything was created from nothing when nothing exploded and created everything. So you got to get it through your head that your rights come from a divine. Well, like I said, whether it's you want to believe in nature or a creator, there's a creator of some sort that made this.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I found you in that way, like you were talking about. I was seeking and praying, and boom, there you were on Crow 777, who has some excellent programs with you on there. It's CRROW 777 radio.com. You can find it. So anyway, I found you that way. I listened to you, and then I found a way to get in touch with you, and it's one of the best things happened to me all in this last year. I want to say.
I appreciate that, but yeah,
thank you.
So you got to understand that that your rights do not come from pieces of paper, because you get a traffic ticket. You look in the back of the traffic ticket. What's it tell you? You must do this. You must do A, B, C, D, and you must do it in this time.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? My rights didn't come from the back of that piece of paper called a citation.
Right.
My rights came from my creator. They can say whatever they want on the back of that piece of paper. I'm going to challenge that. Excuse me. Yeah. In my affidavit, we'll get into that. My rights don't come from papers. Okay.
Well, they usually say send money.
No, it's always about
basically money. It gets to that.
So. And we've been so indoctrinated and so dumbed down. We've all been dumbed down. That the most basic things have gone right over our head. The most elemental thing. Is it not true? All men are created equal, right? It's in the state constitution. It's in the federal. It's in the Declaration of Independence. It's a maxim of law that all men are created equal. Okay, if all men are created equal, if I got together with my neighbor, okay, could we tax my other neighbor? Could we do something to my other neighbor?
Not without a gun.
No, that ain't fun, right? If I got together with 2 other of my neighbors, and there was 3 of us now, does that give us any more power to do something to my one neighbor?
More guns.
More guns, right? And that's what government is. It's forced through intimidation through at the end of a barrel of a gun. That's what government is, okay? It's forcing you to do stuff against your will out of fear, threat, and duress. So if me and 2 of my other neighbors can't get together and do something to my neighbor, tax him or whatever, then how does a group of people called a legislature that get together, how did they get authority to do things to you? They don't have that authority, okay? And when you start calling that stuff into question, how did a group of men called the legislature get things to do, to do stuff to you? And you hear people say, well, that's just how we do it. Well, that's called an appeal to tradition. That's not law. You can't walk into court and say, well, judge, this is how we do it. We do it this way. No, it's got to have a basis in fact and law. It's got to have a basis. It's got to be a witness to that, okay? Nobody can claim that, like an attorney that's trying to move under a statute against you, created by the legislature, he's got no personal knowledge of that statute, how it was created, who created it, and who it applies to. Yet he's trying to apply it to you by filing against you and inciting it. Well, that's fraud, okay? He's got no personal knowledge of it. He can't test it. He's not a witness that statute applies to you. That's his opinion. We all got, opinions are like. We all got opinions. And he's got no personal knowledge of it, so he can't move on it. There's no basis in fact. It's his opinion. So you got to understand that you need to have a witness coming at you from the other side. There's got to be somebody with personal knowledge of a matter. And unless there's a damaged party on the other side, which means you physically injured somebody or you damaged somebody's property, nobody on the other side has standing in the matter. You need to have standing in all matters. Standing means that you were damaged. You were physically damaged or emotionally damaged or your property was damaged. You need to have
financial, right? Something.
There's got to be some kind of financial component or a violation of a right, okay? Can you injure a fiction of law called a county?
I don't know how.
It's like trying to Mickey. Can you injure Mickey Mouse? Can I punch Mickey Mouse and injure Mickey Mouse? Can I damage Mickey's scooter that he rides on? Or whatever? Can I do something with Mickey's? No. So if there's no party over here with standing, there's no case. Okay. Remember, the attorney that's moving this, speaking for the fiction, anything in this matter? No. You don't know anything about it. Everything he's learned about is second hand, third hand. Okay. And he's operating under presumption and opinion. You don't have no personal knowledge of any matter. You didn't injure the attorney. He's not injured. You didn't damage him or his rights. So it's all fraud. Everything they're doing is fraud. There's no witness. And you got to keep that in your head that you need to have a witness with personal knowledge in a matter. When you get down to that most basic element that you need to have a witness with personal knowledge, you'll start to unmap the matrix and you'll start to take everything apart. Because let's see, I got this attorney claiming he's speaking for a fiction. Objection. Is there a plaintiff over here? I did it at the end of the only hearing I had with the sewer authority so far. At the end of it, I'm said to the judge, I don't see no plaintiff over here. Where's the plaintiff, Judge? I don't see him, Judge. He said, Mr. Faggiolo, you got some points, but we got decorum here. You got to follow decorum. Judge, I'm looking for the plaintiff. I don't see him over here. Where's he at? I'm basically the little kid stating that the king doesn't have any clothes on. Okay, there is no plaintiff over here. There's some guy with a bar card, some pettifogger shyster attorney with a bar card, claiming to speak for a fictional entity so he can make some money off of me. He can drain some money off me because I'm too stupid to know any better, which is 99.9% of the people out there he's used to dealing with. Okay, and I go after the most basic stuff. So
what do we do when we get slapped with a parking ticket, speeding, or judgment, whatever, suit, tax, whatever bill? What do we do? What's the steps to do?
Well, you need to understand, even in appearance, you could appear on paper or you could appear in body. Okay, so when something's filed against you and you respond to it, even though you respond to it by paper, you're actually making an appearance in the court. So what's the first thing I told you to do when you walk into court? Even physically, I'm making a special appearance. Okay, so even I'm going to file paperwork in this matter, and we'll go into what that paperwork is. Even I'm going to file paperwork in the matter. It's the first thing on my list. I'm making a special appearance. I'm not involved in this matter out of my consent. You know, I'm here. I'm addressing this matter by force, threat, and duress being imposed upon me by some other party that I don't understand. Okay, so that's the only reason I'm addressing this matter, is to challenge the jurisdiction of this court. I'm making a special appearance. That's in my paperwork. Number two, just like if you're there physically. Number two, I reserve all my rights. You got some great rights. Like I said, they're not granted by these papers called constitutions and things and laws. They're not granted by that. They are preserved and secured by those things. So one of the great rights you have is a right to trial by jury. Well, they don't like that because they want to get you in and out of traffic court quick as possible to get their money. They don't want that seat of jury. That's money. They're losing money now. They got to bring a jury in. They got to go through picking the jury, and they don't want to do that. But so what you do is you go through and you reserve all your rights by saying, I reserve all my rights. In other words, I don't care what you guys are doing. I don't care what statute or however you're moving. I have rights here, unalienable rights, and I ain't waiving them for you guys. I'm reserving them. I'm holding them and I can use them anytime I want. You can't waive a right. That's another lie that they tell you. You cannot waive a right, okay, unless you want to write it down on a piece of paper and you willingly do that yourself. Someone can't make you waive a right. They can't say, Ted, you waived that right, Ted. That right's gone now. You waived it.
Unalienable. That's what unalienable means.
I didn't waive it, okay? Unless I write it down on a piece of paper stating that I'm waiving it, I didn't waive that right. So don't let them push that stuff on you either, that you waived your right. You didn't waive any rights. Can't waive a right. So you're going to basically just take their case apart through paperwork. So when you get a traffic ticket or something filed against you, they're going to call you a defendant. They're always going to state that you're the defendant. And the funny part is, look at the plaintiff. It's the county. It's the state of Pennsylvania, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, state of Hawaii. You know, that's the plaintiff. Oh, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck's coming at me over here.
They're corporation's
coming at me over here. Oh, who's responsible for that? I got to speak to Mr. and Mrs. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania or Mr. and Mrs. State of Hawaii. I don't know who that is. So right off the bat, that paperwork's fraudulent. They're going to deem you a defendant. And you don't want to be a defendant, okay? What a defendant is, think about it this way. You're a man or a woman. And when I say man, I speak as woman. Like, when you talk about law stuff or when they reference man, it means men and women. It's one and the same. When you state the inherent rights of mankind, that means men and women. It's both. Yeah. So I'm not being sexist saying that. It's not. Human, yeah. So now, what were we talking about? Give me back on track.
You were back in. You were going in the court, and I'm here by special appearance. I waive no rights, unalienable rights, and then.
So first thing you know, defendant. That we were on defendant. Okay, so you're a man or a woman. God created man and woman, and then man and women created government, and governments created corporations. Mm-hmm. So corporations are coming at you. They're four down. Okay, it's God, man and woman, government, corporations. Mm-hmm. Now, even governments become corporations though now. So they're low man on the totem pole. You're above them. So you don't let them put a tag on you of defendant or pro se. Okay, don't let them tag you with things. Because what they're trying to do is trying to minimize your status as a man or woman and bring you down into their game. Because if I can call you a defendant and you answer as a defendant, well, you've given your God-given rights up as a man. Now you're in their game. They brought you into their little game now, their little circle here. Because now you have the rights of a defendant. Okay, defendants can do certain things. Okay, a man can do anything. I don't have to follow their rules. I'm a man. They made their rules. But if I'm a defendant in their game, well, now I got to follow the rules. I'm one of the board pieces in the Monopoly game. I'm the shoe, or I became one of their pieces. So now I got to follow their rules if I'm a defendant. So I don't ever consider myself or call myself a defendant. And you'll see in my paperwork, I address it as in the matter of Alfonso Nicholas Faggiolo versus whoever under there, whoever they are, the respondents. I don't ever refer to myself as the defendant, and I don't refer to them as the plaintiff. And I started doing this in my paperwork about 6 months ago with the sewer authority, and they didn't want to take the paperwork. They were very standoffish. Oh, this doesn't follow the rules of civil procedure. Because all of a sudden, I'm stepping out of this tag they put on me of defendant, and I'm diminishing the fictitious plaintiff because there is no plaintiff over here. So I'm just calling what they are, the sewer authority. Alfonso, in the matter of Alfonso Nicholas Faggiolo versus the sewer authority. I don't know. Maybe there's a Mr. and Mrs. Sewer Authority that's going to walk into court. I don't know. Somehow they created this paperwork, right? They evidently made this paperwork, didn't they?
I doubt it. They go.
No, wait. They didn't create it, Ted? They didn't create the paperwork? Wait, you mean the attorney created the paperwork? He did it? Oh, isn't that counterfeit and forgery?
Well, if you want to be technical, yeah, you want to be sticky about it. I mean, why don't you just play along like everybody else?
Exactly, but gee, Ted, if we went to court and I wrote documents for you that you didn't even know about, and I submitted them in your name, isn't that counterfeit and forgery?
Well, you're really using technical terms. You're using the definition, what it's supposed to be. I mean, we don't do that usually, right? We do it this way. The court, they like to do it where they call it admissible evidence or the motion or the filing or the agency, all the magic words. Anyway.
And that's all statutory corporate law, okay? That's what that is. And you'll find it in court cases, and it's stated that a corporation must be represented by an attorney. It can only be represented by an attorney. It can't come in and represent itself.
There's no people human there.
No.
It's like a computer almost.
Sure, computer can't come in and represent itself. All right? At least we haven't got that yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. So if the fiction can't represent itself and it's got to be represented by an attorney, well, gee, what's the attorney's Achilles' heels? He's got no personal knowledge of anything, right? No. Can he be a witness in the matter? No. He's got to either be counsel or a witness. He can't be both. So he can be counsel for those people over there, those criminals, but he can't be a witness. What do you need to defeat you? You need a witness, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's not a witness. Who's the sewer authority? Is there Mr. and Mrs. Sewer Authority coming in to testify? No. Then is there some man or woman doing business as the sewer authority? Are they going to come in and stand in the place of the sewer authority and accept liability for their claims? Mm-mm. I don't think so, okay? So, sir, there's no witness over here. This guy's got no personal knowledge of the matter. There's no witness over here. What are we doing here? This is fraud. This man filed a suit against me, a case against me, in the name of a fictional entity that doesn't exist. That's fraud. Imagine me going into court and filing against you, Ted, and I name Mickey Mouse as the plaintiff. Would that be fraud?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Is that counterfeit? Me claiming to speak for a fictional entity? Didn't I counterfeit that document? By putting my name on it, didn't I counterfeit that document? Claiming that I'm filing a suit for Mickey Mouse. Isn't that what the attorney's doing? Isn't that the same thing that attorney just did? He's speaking for a fiction of law. He put his name on the bottom of that paper and his bar number. Okay? Did he just commit counterfeiting and forgery against you? Sure he did.
I think we called this something more acceptable, like we call it smoke and mirrors, I think, something like that. Is that?
Yeah, you can call it smoke and mirrors, but I like to call it what it is because it
well, yeah.
You start throwing the terms around. Hey, that's a counterfeit document you created. What do you mean? It's a judgment. Wait a minute. We never had a trial. What are you talking about? How did you get a judgment without a trial? The statute gives me authority to. Wait a minute. A piece of paper called a statute spoke to you. It talked to you and it told you you can control Mr. Faggiolo and file this claim against Mr. Faggiolo. I'm the statute. I said so. No, because nowhere in that statute is my name. You'll never find my name in that statute. You'll never find your name in that statute.
Mm-hmm.
So then how did that statute apply to you? It's in the attorney's head. He made a determination. Didn't he just grant himself judicial power, that attorney, by making a legal determination that a piece of paper called a statute applies to you? Isn't he acting like a judge? Sure he is. He's got no personal knowledge that, because your name's not in that statute. It'll say some vague term like, this applies to subjects of taxation or to persons, okay, without defining what that actually is. So the legislature writes these statutes in vagueness, subjects of taxation, persons, so that most people will say, oh, I'm a person, because in common vernacular, you refer to you or me or your neighbor as a person. But in legal terms, a person's a whole different thing, whole different matter.
Corporation is a person.
Corporation's a person. So how can you be in a list of things, partnership, corporation, sole proprietorship? How can a man be in a list of fictions? He can't. Okay, he can't exist in there.
So you want to come in, you want to be a man, stay as a man. This is like Gary Cooper, high noon stuff, right? You want to give man to man. Let's give man to man. And where's my accuser? Which is the Bible also, by the way. Same thing. You have to have two witnesses to establish testimony.
I'm dumb as a bag of rocks. I just fell off the back of the turnip truck. I don't know anything. All I know is I'm in this supposedly hearing, and this guy I never seen before, calling himself an attorney, is claiming to speak for this fictional entity. Sorry, sir. I don't understand this at all. I'm not the brightest guy in the world, but I'm pretty sure he can't speak for a fiction. How's he doing this? How's he filing paperwork for a fictional entity? Because nothing he's filing in anything is verified. And what verified means is somebody put their signature on a document and they're willing to accept liability under perjury for what they wrote, okay? So if you don't get a document from somebody and they don't verify it, and this goes for everything, you go have a conversation with your local township bureaucrats and they tell you something. You say, listen, I need you to write that down for me and just sign it. Why want me to do that? Well, I need you to say, if you're not going to sign it, what you're telling me, I got to take what you're telling me is being a lie. You're lying to me. Otherwise, Ted, if I was being truthful with you, and you said, Alphonse, write that down for me, would I just say, Ted, no problem. Here, I'm going to write it down for you. I'm going to put my name to it, Ted. I'm willing to stand by that. Wouldn't I do that if I was telling you the truth?
Well, I happen to have in my hand something like what you're talking about, a document where you do write it down and you sign your name and say that, yeah, this is the truth, what I speak. And maybe this is something you can use against that other side that doesn't have that. Can you tell us a little about this? What these are called? Well, this is affidavit. This is an affidavit.
Your greatest friend. The only time you'll hear it on TV and all affidavits, you'll hear like watching cop shows about criminal matters. Because every criminal matter, you must have an affidavit submitted. In every criminal matter. And guess what traffic tickets are, Ted? Guess where they fall under on most of the states. Not all, but most of the states. Are they civil or are they criminal traffic tickets?
Civil?
Criminal.
Oh, really? Oh.
About 90% of the states, they're criminal. Okay? Well, if it's a criminal matter, this traffic ticket, you think there's an affidavit with that traffic ticket submitted by anybody? I highly doubt it, okay? No. So in any criminal matter, you need an affidavit. Okay, it's got to be an affidavit. Affidavit's your best friend as a man or woman. What an affidavit allows you to do is basically scream out loud that the king's got no clothes on. And I'll testify to the matter that the king's got no clothes on. And unless somebody from the other side wants to rebut my affidavit point for point, everything I state in my affidavit are the facts of the matter. It's the judgment of the matter. Unless my affidavit's contested, what I put in that affidavit's the truth. So what you do with these people is when they file these ridiculous claims against you, these phony judgments you get in the mail from the court says there's a judgment been issued against you for the township. Wait a minute, I've never had a trial. We never had a trial here. So the first thing I do is I go through and I create what's called an affidavit of fact. And I rebut everything. All the stuff we're talking about here and other stuff, I basically put in the form of writing. Hey,
You got here. This is an affidavit of fact
yep.
that you taught me and you helped me with that.
I don't live in a township. I don't live in a township of Aston. I don't know what you're talking about. Because remember, there's always two things that they're confusing you on. You live on the geographic region known as Hawaii, Ted. Okay, you're an inhabitant of Hawaii, the geographic region of Hawaii. You do not live in the state of Hawaii. Okay, the state of Hawaii is a municipal corporation with a Dun & Bradstreet number, a registered Dun & Bradstreet number. You can't live inside a piece of paper, Ted. It's impossible. Can't move or live inside of a piece of paper. You can only live on a physical piece of land. But what they've done to you and us, and they do it here with Pennsylvania and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, one's a geographic region and one's a municipal corporation. And by using the terms interchangeably, they want you to believe that you, Ted, live in the state of Hawaii.
Mm.
And most people not knowing any better will say, well, yes, it's a state and it's named Hawaii. I must live in it, right? That's how most people think. Not knowing that one's a municipal corporation on paper and one's a geographic region, okay? One's a physical piece of land. They're two separate things. So in your paperwork and the stuff that I do is I'll separate that out right away. I'll call it out for what it is. I'll tell them right away that I'm a flesh and blood man. You know, I'm not a corporate entity. I'm not a person. I'm not a corporate entity. I'm under no one's jurisdiction. You know, no one has inherent jurisdiction over me. It's a ridiculous claim to think that a county or a borough or a city has jurisdiction over you by way of your physical location. They just have magically. It's like saying you live near McDonald's, so now McDonald's corporate rules apply to me. It's the same thing with your township. You know, you live on this place called Aston, and these men and women over here making these corporate rules up called ordinances and codes. You know, they're just claiming that your physical location automatically makes you subject to their codes.
Hmm.
Got any evidence of that? Does anybody have any evidence of that? That my physical location means that your paperwork applies to me? Can I do the same thing to you? Can I just write stuff down on a piece of paper and go tell the township people, hey, you know what? I got stuff written down here. Look, it's written down. This applies to you. You got to give me $1,000 a week. Well, it's written there right here. It says it. You're in my location. That's what we're doing with you. Okay?
So that's the golden question from what I get from talking with you and listening is that you want to ask, what evidence do you have that I am under your jurisdiction? And I mean, this is a very important question to ask about everything, basically. And I think in life, you know, if we start asking that question more, you know, rather than just assuming everything. And so you want to be, what do you want to be then? I'm not a resident. I'm an inhabitant. What is it I want to put myself, to say for myself?
I'm Colombo. I'm Colombo. Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. One more thing here, ma'am.
Yeah.
Don't get them to decide what you are. Well, okay. This applies to all residents of Aston. Excuse me, ma'am. What evidence do you have that I'm a resident? Well, your address. Excuse me, ma'am. What evidence is there that my address makes me a resident? Ma'am, do you have a definition of a resident? Can you give me a definition? I'm Colombo. I'm just going to keep asking questions. I'm going to let them keep in the hole.
Right.
Well, sir, well, ma'am, what evidence do you have that my address, my physical location makes me a resident? They don't know. Know what you're going to get after that question? Oh, you got to speak to the solicitor, the attorneys. Wait a minute, ma'am. Isn't this your claim? Ma'am, isn't this your claim? I got to speak to some other person? Why would I have to do that?
Because you're on the letter. They signed the letter, right? They sent you the demand and the tax, and yet they cannot tell you. They can't answer you.
No, and that's like I said. You always want to keep, like with the property assessment guy. I let him walk himself off the plank. You know, you got property in the county. Well, now he's giving me a basis to work from. He's telling me I live in a fiction, basically, in my head. So sir, what evidence do you have that I live in the county? Sir, are you stating my physical land and my property is on the county's physical land? Because it's not. It's not their land. And he don't know any better. He's thinking boundaries. Yes. Okay. What evidence? Instead of just fighting it, John, what evidence do you have of that? Oh, that's your problem. That's your mistake. You should have got your deed. You should have got what the recorders got. Well, John, I'm always asking questions. John, how's my deed evidence? Well, it says right in there. He's digging his own hole. It says in there, your property's in Delaware County. Next question, John, how does the term in Delaware County on my deed, how does that create financial and legal obligations upon me to the municipal corporation doing business as the county of Delaware? Ball game. You got to talk to the attorneys. You got to. What? You can't give me no more answers, John? Hit the wall. He hit the wall basically, because everything he's saying is BS and it's fraud. And he may think it in his head, but then when he gets walked down the road by somebody like me asking those questions, he suddenly realizes, well, there's a 100-foot wall here. I can't get over this thing, because you just made the final determination that you stated that that terminology on my deed says in Delaware County created some legal obligation upon me. Well, geez, when I look on my deed, nowhere on my deed does it say you will pay taxes to the corporation known as the Municipal Corporation of County of Delaware, or you have, these are your rights. All it says is in Delaware County. Well, it's like saying in Hawaii, in Pennsylvania. Okay, it's a reference to a geographic location. It's not a political statement. It's not a legal statement on there by stating that that my property's in the county or in the. It's a reference. Nowhere in that document does that statement create a legal obligation upon me, and it's unprovable that it creates a legal obligation upon me, because the only way that can be proved is there's got to be a witness over here that could come into court and testify that because my deed says in Delaware County, that creates legal obligations upon me to the county. Is there any witness over there on the other side that could come into court and testify under oath, under penalty of perjury, that because my deed says in Delaware County that I have legal obligations to a municipal corporation? No, it's a ridiculous claim. It's an absurd claim. But that's what they're doing to us. That's what they're doing to you. They have you just accepting things without questioning them. You question everything. Yeah. You always want to know who's making the claim. If it came to me under the Township of Aston, the name, nobody signed the document. Can I call up on the phone and speak to the Township of Aston? Can I get them on the phone and have a conversation with them? I don't think so. So then who's taking responsibility for this Township of Aston person?
Well,
or that person?
Tell us who. That's the question. That's the
$1,000,000 question. That's the $1 million question. Who? Because nobody over there wants to step forward and go, yeah, that's me. I'm the mayor, or I'm the council board president, and I'll stand in for the township. No, because it's personal liability. Because when that dummy would do something like that, I'm coming for his home, his bank account, his business. I'm going to take everything from him. If he's that dumb to state that he's speaking for a fiction and he can do things against me based on a fiction, I'm going to tear him up in a court of law. Because he's got no factual basis for what he's stating. It's all opinion. It's allegation.
Yeah. All right. So can we cut to the chase here? I have a practical application. All right. And I know you don't like the politics, and I'm not going to drag.
Please don't bring politics.
No, but what I'm doing is I want to talk about the mask regulation. I know you have talked and you've helped some friends of mine in Hawaii about the mask declarations, whatever they are.
Right.
But let's bring it over into that real world that everybody knows. How is it that the mayor can tell me, you, or declare what we wear on our face? How, it's the same thing that's going on, isn't it?
Yeah.
The same fictional corporation. I don't know that people really understand yet that we're talking about real corporations. I mean, your city is a profit-making business. And when you drive in, I've been driving through the South all my life. I remember seeing signs like Bon Air, Georgia, unincorporated. or other things. But most of the cities, by now everybody's incorporated. But how does this corporation have power over you or me or grandma, Susie, Sally, every kid in school, to say you go to school, can't go to school, open your business, get your hair cut, shake hands, stand on your head, wear a mask? I mean, bring it over into that, if you would, please.
Well, they have no real power. Everything's done through indoctrination and presumption. I was in a beer distributor the other day and, got in a dispute with the guy who wanted me to wear a mask. And, and I said, why would I need to wear a mask? And this big galoot behind me says, well, the governor says so. Okay. Well, good for him. Okay. No man can tell another man what to do. Okay. If you're not harming me, like if I say, Ted, you're banging me over the head with a bat. And I say, Ted, will you please stop banging me over the head with a bat? That's one thing. But if you're doing something that is not affecting me, not harming me, I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you, Ted, wear a pink shirt, wear a brown shirt, wear blue shoes, wear white shoes.
But I'm the mayor. I'm the governor. I'm somebody.
Right. But you can tell anyone under your jurisdiction. Everything's jurisdiction, okay? Everything's jurisdiction. Anyone under your jurisdiction, you can tell all corporations that are incorporated within the state of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania or the state of Hawaii, anything that's under the umbrella of that corporation, that mayor or governor can tell the employees what to do. Okay? They have jurisdiction over them. Just like your boss would tell you, hey, listen, you can't come to work in a tank top. Okay? It's not professional. Okay? Right. In a way, your boss has jurisdiction over you. In other words, if you want the job, you could leave if you want. You don't need to keep the job. But if you want to keep it, you got to do what the boss tells you to do. But you and I have a relation like that with the mayor or the governor. I don't care who elected him. I don't care how many people got together and elected him. Just because some group of guys, remember, we're talking about my neighbor. Just because me and my neighbor get together and my two other neighbors, can we do something to my other neighbor? No. So just because some group of neighbors got together and voted this guy, the governor, did not grant him any special powers over me or you, okay? It's great. If somebody else wants to, these people want to live under that's their freedom. They can live under that. I have no obligation to listen to anything that a governor tells me or a mayor tells me or the town manager tells me. Got no authority over me. It's a ridiculous claim. He's part of their corporation. He's a corporate member. He's a board member of the corporation. He's the governor of that corporation, okay? I'm not in his corporation. I didn't sign up to be in his corporation, nor does my physical location make me part of his corporation.
So who is part of his employees?
Well, the police department, the fire department, the administrative people that work in government, this agency, that agency, this agency, any businesses that are incorporated under the under the state of Hawaii or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, any entities under his jurisdiction. He don't have jurisdiction over me. And the most easy way to understand why he don't have jurisdiction over you is for a court to make any decision, they need two things, two legs they must have, or they can't make a decision. They need personal jurisdiction over you, the man, and they need subject matter jurisdiction. And the only way subject matter jurisdiction is granted, we'll go over personal jurisdiction first. The way a court attempts to get personal jurisdiction over you is they give you service of process. Somebody files a complaint against you. They issue a summons and the clerk stamps it, and they give a process server. Some man or woman comes out to you and knocks on your door and says, Mr. White, you've been served. And they hand you a copy of the complaint with the copy of the summons you to court, okay? That's just that doesn't give them personal jurisdiction. It gets their foot in the door. You can still challenge it, but that got their foot in the door to get you to show up to court. That's a court's attempt to get personal jurisdiction over you, one of the legs they need to make a decision. Now, in order to get subject matter jurisdiction, there's got to be a party with standing on the other side, which means somebody had to have a right violated by you, or you had to physically injure them or damage them in some way. You damaged their property. If there's no damaged party on the other side, there's no subject matter jurisdiction for the court. So the court can't get jurisdiction over you to do anything. So if the court can't get jurisdiction over you, they need those two legs. How did this guy called a governor, who some group of people got together and voted for, how does he get jurisdiction over you? He doesn't. If that governor has a suit against me, he's got to get his corrupt attorneys to file a complaint against me and have him be summoned to the court. And then I'll take him apart in court because he don't have standing in any matter with me. Okay? He'll never sue me. He can't. Okay? It's a ridiculous claim. So if he doesn't have personal and subject matter jurisdiction, he can't tell you what to do. Can't tell you to wear a mask. Can't tell you got to be in the house by 8 o'clock. Can't tell you anything. It's opinion. It's allegation. It's fraud. And when people come at you and make false allegations upon you in writing, they send things in the mail to you, or they issue you citations, you file affidavits against them. And you take their argument apart in a way of affidavit, which is basically it's you stating, even though even an affidavit is technically hearsay because it can be challenged in court, but it rises you above to another level among them. Because what you're stating when you do an affidavit is, hey, I'm willing to come in court and swear under penalty of perjury that everything I wrote down on this paper is true. And if I'm lying here, I'm willing to go to jail for it. Is the guy over here making this claim against me, is he willing to come up and match me? I don't think so, okay? So now, is there a controversy anymore? If I provided you an affidavit and I said, hey, dude, I'll go to jail for what I wrote down here. That's how much I believe in what I wrote. And you go, I'm not answering that, or I don't have to answer that. Well, if you don't have to answer it, what are you, my king? Are you some kind of god that you just were given divine power? In other words, you can make claims against me, and I can't rebut your claims? They're just automatic because somebody granted you a title? They gave you a title, manager or a governor? No, it's absurd. So you file affidavits. You take their claims apart. And another thing I include with my affidavit of fact, which is basically affidavit of fact will address that specific matter, whether it's a traffic ticket, a mask violation. I'll also include an affidavit of status, which is pretty much universal. You could take my affidavit of status and change a couple things in there because it's all federal stuff and use it basically. But all the affidavit of status it asserts is, guess what? I'm not one of your residents. I'm not a citizen. I'm not one of your employees. I'm not a corporate entity. I'm not a person. Oh, by the way, you're a public servant. If you didn't know, you're just a public servant. And by the way, your power is dealt and granted from the people. I'm one of the people. You have the created can never overrule the creator. Okay, the creator always, like, I can't overrule God. Like, I can't get a conflict with God and overrule him. Okay, same thing. Government.
So he's a corporate. Yeah, he's way down there. Then, if he's an agent of the corporation, he's way down the pile. Then
he's low man on the totem pole. Okay.
But why are they steamrolling us? Why is the governor of California shut everybody down? Why is there no laws on the books? They're just decreeing things.
Ignorance, indoctrination. You know, when I'm in a beer store and I say, well, what evidence you have that I have to wear a mask? And the big dummy behind me offers, well, the governor said so. You know? And I just looked at him and I'm like, sorry, I'm not under the jurisdiction of a governor. I said, do you understand law at all? And he shut up, you know. It's indoctrination. It's this was done to you through school. You know, there's a great, I think it's a video and it's a printout they did. They compare a prisoner in a prison to a school student, and they run parallels. Mm-hmm. And I think there's like 50 parallels between a prisoner in a prison system and a student in a school system. They run parallel. So what that is, that's an indoctrination of you. What do you told your teachers? Don't question your teachers. What happens if you question your teachers? You can sit down in the principal's office. They give you detention. You know, it's indoctrination that you don't question authority. Okay, you go along with the program. You know, and God forbid if you question a teacher and the teacher mocks you, and the other kids, what do? They laugh at you, because isn't that social indoctrination basically what they're doing? Oh, I'm the teacher. You don't question me, and the teacher will say this crazy stuff to you. I remember I got a dispute, little sidebar. I'm in gym class, and I got along good with the gym teacher, real good with the gym teacher, but he got mad at somebody like near me. I think the kid, he kept bringing in notes, excusing him from stuff, and the gym teacher was pissed off at him. So he takes these keys. He's got like about 50 keys on this key ring thing, and he chucks it supposedly at the kid, and he hits me with it. Well, I didn't take too well to that. I picked it up and threw it back at him. So he didn't care for that. So he drugged me out in the hall, and he's in my face, and he's hollering at me, and he's threatening me. I'll put you through that wall. I'll put you through that wall. And I was calm, cool, and collected, and I said, yeah, you put me through any wall. I said, my dad will be up here. He'll put you through that same wall. I said, you might have to bring a body bag, my man. He shut up and just went silent at that point. He was done because I wasn't intimidated, okay? Yeah. I wasn't. I didn't take the bait. I didn't take the intimidation bait. And that's what they're doing with you with this, is you're going to get in trouble, You can't do that. The police are going to come after you. They're going to the attorneys are going to People cringe when they get something from an attorney in the mail. So-and-so law firm, they go, oh, my God, how much is this going to cost me? They're afraid. I get something in the mail from an attorney, I go, I'm going to have a ball.
Oh, boy.
Ask this guy some questions, Who's he representing here? What fiction is he talking for?
I don't know. What?
I don't get anything in the mail. I haven't got anything in the mail from attorneys for about 9 months now, except the sewer authority guy. He still don't get it. He still hasn't picked up on this yet. But nobody else is bothering me, and I think that the township people are not. Their attorney's not sending me nothing, And so it's a fear tactic. It's people. It's done through indoctrination through school, and it's done through fear. And listen, I got cousins, a couple cousins that are they're very good to me since my mom passed away. They're great with me. They invite me to everything and take care of me. And they're more brilliant than I could ever hope to be. Okay, school-wise, I think the one was valedictorian. Okay, I'm nowhere near that league. Okay, and as brilliant as she is, my one cousin, she doesn't want to rock the boat. Doesn't like Steve Jobs said, most people go through life trying not to bump into the walls, okay? Mm-hmm. And the people that make differences in the world are the ones that bump into the walls, okay? And with these attorneys, I figured out that you got to pick them, take them, and throw them into the wall, okay? Don't be afraid of bumping into the walls. So I got this brilliant cousin who could pick up on this stuff easily and do this stuff, but doesn't want to rock the boat. And that comes through indoctrination. What are we taught in school? Not to rock the boat, to go along with the program, okay? And we all try and do that in life, basically. We don't look for conflict. You and I don't, I don't look for conflict. But when you get in my face and start violating my rights, we're going to have a conflict. But if I'm walking down the street or I'm shopping, I'm not bothering you. I'm not telling you, hey, Ted, you got to wear a mask. Hey, Ted, you got to be 6 feet away from me. I'm leaving you the hell alone. I'm going shopping. I'm buying my groceries, and I'm leaving you alone. So I'm not looking for conflict, and as most people are not. And it's sad that we've come to this point where people have lost the ability to think for themselves, that they think there's some killer virus out there that's magically transmitting through the air, or it's in surfaces. You touch a surface and you're going to get this killer virus. BS, okay? I don't want to go into the virus part of it.
Yeah.
That virus has nothing to do with an illness. It has to do with getting you off of physical money with the digital currency, and it has to do with control. Because once they get you on a digital currency, which your credit card's a digital currency, they can track everything you're doing. So the next time when they're getting you off physical money, Ted, like you get rid of the dollar bill and coins and stuff. Next time you get a traffic ticket, they're just going to debit it from your account. Hey, Ted, we just debited it from your account. Yeah, listen, you can still fight it, but we already got the money in our pocket. Now try and get it back. That's what this is about, this stuff. It's control of you. Now, a guy like me, that's a pain in the ass, a thorn in their side. If I got to do everything based off of a digital card, where I can't use physical money anymore, and I can do everything on a card, what do I do when they shut my card off? when I go to the store and I need to buy food, and I go,
You're
"Here's my
done.
card, Mr. Faggiolo, your card's been suspended."
We're done. Yeah.
Done, right? I
Yeah.
gotta grow my own food. Isn't that a great way to shut me up or shut other people up that are dissenters, that are telling the people what's going on? It's exactly what this virus is about. Okay, and if I can make you believe that there's some killer fictional bug flying around that you can get at any time and it could kill you, and I can make you wear a mask. My God, I see people wearing masks, jogging, working out, riding bicycles, in the car by themselves. They're in the car by themselves with a mask on. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. I see a woman get out. She's got like a Lysol can. She's spraying her wheel. She's spraying her door.
And the gloves.
Oh. And I said, oh my God, they're so far gone.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought, and my cousin from New Zealand always thought that, there'd be a backlash at a certain point that people are going to get disgusted. But when I see the amount of people wearing masks, I don't know if we're there. I don't know if you can wake these people up. I think they're so far down the rabbit hole that you might not be able to pull them out. Okay.
Yeah.
But I got the big dummy behind me going, "Oh, the governor said so." Yeah. I mean, how do I pull him out? How do I get this guy out of the rabbit hole?
Yeah, that's mommy speaking.
Mommy said so.
Mommy said.
Government said so.
Yeah. And mostly women governors, you notice that. I mean, nothing against, but the mommy said. So you're a breath of fresh air, Alphonse. Man, you are one of a kind. Thank you. I want to go over some more with you. I hope you would do this again for me, please. We can.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. You're not going to get everything.
We wanted to go over the affidavit. This is the nuclear weapon, as far as I'm concerned. I've had now a couple of personal, real life experience, and one is about a contested will. We ground that thing to a stop instantly. The whole will probate with one affidavit. Not by an attorney, by little old me, with the help of somebody here we know. And I got it notarized. I sent it. It stopped that court like pulling the fire alarm. And we got their attention. The other one is we're working on a matter of their claim, I owe some money to somebody. But again, an affidavit I just sent a couple of days ago. I mean, it's going to bring this thing to a stop. And
we hope.
We hope, yeah. But by calling it what it is, the truth. And again, this is something Jesus said, you'll know the truth shall make you free. And I mean, this is really, we're operating out of the oldest truths there are, the universal nature God-given laws. They're found in the Bible, 10 Commandments, all of these things. Also, the Magna Carta, just wanted to throw this in here. The Magna Carta from England was a common law, was introduced in the year 1215, 800 years ago. But the same thing, a bunch of knights and noblemen, guys like Alphonse, they got tired of the king pushing them around, King John, and they went and they made a king sit down and sign their paper called the Magna Carta, limiting his powers. They limited the king's powers, and that's where English common law really takes hold. I mean, it's bigger than that, but that is the law based on a free man cannot be deprived of his life, liberty, property, or anything without due process of law. Not even a king can do that, and that means a jury trial. He is also, that's where it talks about the juror, de jure, and these things. The jury trial is a God-given thing. A jury of our peers is to determine what's right and wrong, not the highfalutin lawyers and judges and corporate officers. So anyway, excuse me for getting into that, but that was 800 years ago. In the Constitution, we hear all that, blah, blah. That really mostly is to contain the government. That's to put the fence around the government. It's not a fence around us. No. The Declaration of Independence is declaring that we have the God-given right, and the king no longer has the right to rule us as subject. That's basically what it did. It still does. But now we've swapped a king for a federal government. And the Constitution's flipped on its head, and now it's all about us when it's supposed to be all about limiting the government. And I think it's refreshing to hear from Alphonse. Here's a guy that he's in the street doing it, okay? And I mean, I call it street law, but it's common law. And it's not just for property and sewer and all that. No, it's anything you need. Anything now. The credit card company on your back.
Yeah, I got a woman that had a $7,000 credit card bill at some dirtball attorney firm. What they do is they purchase these debts, these credit card debts. These
oh yeah, it's another scam.
They may have bought that $7,000 debt for $200. You know,
right?
Then they try and intimidate people with paperwork and you know and get them to pay it. And I got that knocked out.
Right,
you know?
right.
You look at it this way. But what they say, my word is my bond, okay? And your word is your bond. That's your most powerful asset. You don't need to be an expert in law. You don't need to know all these things. You just need to be able to stand on your word. And when you stand on your word by way of affidavit and you state the facts and you state that under penalty of perjury, you're willing to go to jail for what you wrote on that document, you'll stand by it. That starts to separate you from the nonsense. Because the other side will not do this. The attorneys will never sign an affidavit and challenge you because you could take everything they have. You could take their bar license if they're messing with the wrong person, you know. And I'll talk person in general terms, but if they're messing with the wrong man, you can destroy them. So they're never going to file an affidavit against you. So think about your word is your bond, and that's your safety. The affidavit. Safety. When you put things down in affidavit and approach them by affidavit, that is your safety. Because when you get drug into court and these people keep making these claims against you, and you say to the judge, whoa, sir, hold on here. These people make claims against me. I rebutted them by way of affidavit. Sent it certified mail. They never responded. They acquiesced and agreed to everything in my affidavit, or else, sir, they would have responded. They didn't respond. That's your safety. The affidavit's your safety. So don't be afraid of attorneys. Don't be afraid of jail. Don't be afraid of people taking retribution against you. You know, I've had, like I said, that my family, they're brilliant. You know, they're more book smart than I could ever be. And I wanted them to send a simple record request in for property assessments. And they were afraid to do that because they had put a back porch on that they never told the township about or the borough, which they didn't have to tell anybody about anyway. That's their business. But they were afraid if they sent this record request in for the property, there'd be backlash. They'd come out and look at the property. And I said, well, first of all, they need a warrant to come on your property and do anything. But that's the indoctrination. You've got these incredibly intelligent people that have been so indoctrinated and so, so brought into the way mainstream media talks that, you know, that these fictional entities and these people with these titles have these powers over you, and they don't. You know, no one has power over you. So the first thing you always want to ask when they come with these claims is, who's making the claim? And don't let them tell you the borough or the township. No, I need a name. Who's responsible for what you're telling me? There's got to be a man or woman that decided this applied to me. I need to hold them accountable. And when you start bringing things down to that most basic level, which is really what the affidavit is, that's where your freedom lies. That's where you're going to start to see the matrix for what it is and start to get your way out of the matrix. I mean, I've gotten tons of traffic tickets for people thrown out. And it's just basically rebutting the presumption that they're making against you. And when you do it by an affidavit, what's the court going to do? They're going to bring you into this traffic matter here where you're citing statutes that the guy who pulled you over, he's not an officer. He may call himself an officer, but I'm pretty damn sure he's not an officer when I look at Title 18, 912, and 913, I think it is. He's impersonating an officer. He's a private employee for a municipal corporation who's got a title of officer. In other words, he's a private employee for McDonald's that's doing this to me, okay? I don't care. Does McDonald's have authority over me? No. Does the township I live in have authority over me? No. So if the township doesn't have authority over me, how did their private employees that they hired, how did he get authority over me? The only reason he's got authority over me, he's carrying a gun, okay?
Right.
He's walking around with a gun. So I'm going to stop when he puts the lights on. I'm going to stop because I don't want to get shot. And I don't want to be chased by a dozen police, you know?
No, we don't. We don't want
But
to.
then I can address the matter in my paper.
Well, well,
Take-
time has rushed by. I'm sorry. We have the clock does have authority over me, and I appreciate it. This is such a blessing as we end up this year, 2020. It's been I think, a really rough year, and we've been pushed to the end of our rope. And it's good to know what Alphonse is saying. I would be glad to answer if people or viewers want to have questions or possibly get to talk to Alphonse. I'll be happy to be the guy in the middle. I have email Geronimo808 at protonmail.com. It'll be in the description of this. And I'll put some other links as much as I can add here for you. But I invite you to start reading and listening and go to Crow 777 and listen to Alphonse's previous program. There are other men, several men that have guests. Listen and learn and start to be your own best defendant. Yeah, stand up for yourself. That's what the pioneers did, the Minutemen, all these great people. I'd like to give you just a couple minutes, Alphonse. You go ahead and close us out here, what you'd like to say.
No, don't let it overwhelm you. Listen, I mean, I think that where my learning curve shot up was when I got drugged into the sewer authority matter because I had to learn about stuff. I was forced to learn about it from dealing with it. So the pieces started to fall together for me. But don't get overwhelmed. The best, like I said, the best place I think for most people to start to unprogram themselves, go buy the $10 book on Amazon for Marx. Go download it. If you want to do the download version, it's $10. It's called Government Indicted. Read that book. Read it again. Read it again. Read it until you understand the concepts, because that book not only works for government, dealing with government people, it'll work for all facets of your life. No matter what business you're in or when you're dealing with people, it will teach you how to disarm people by using what's called the Socratic method. Yeah, that's a brilliant book. It'll teach you how to use the Socratic method by basically asking, who, what, where, when, why, and how. That's what we want to know. When somebody tells us something, whether it's in a business relationship or a government relationship, we're going to ask questions, and then that book's phenomenal, teaching you how to think like that and then how to address these people. And so I would say start with that. Just start with that small little piece there. Get that down. That'll start to give you some confidence. You'll start to get confidence in talking to bureaucrats and whoever. You'll be confident talking to them. Then you can start taking it to the other level. It's stuff we're talking about with affidavits and all. You'll start to get the pieces, but you need to have that foundation. You got to deprogram yourself and understand how to speak to these people. So that's my last thing. Is just go read that book. Get a firm hold on that book, because that'll give you the platform, the basis to work from. And then the rest will start to come easy for you. Once you get that base down, it's like anything. It's like playing baseball, whatever. You learn the basics.
Yeah.
Once you know the basics, then you can start to do other things, or in anything you do. It's always, you need to have the basics down, and then you start to elaborate on the rest of the stuff, and you get skilled at other things. But you got to get that basics down. And I said, get that book, read it, study it, and start to deprogram yourself. Because I get a kick out if I get emails from people, that I love seeing them take my paperwork and change it slightly. They'll take it, they'll add their stuff in there, and I think that's great. I seen a guy with a traffic ticket. They took his license from him. They suspended his license. He filed an affidavit into the matter. He reinstated his license. Okay, and he said, I modified your paperwork. I said, let me see it. I'd love to see it. I said, I think that's great. And he probably used about 85% of what I have, and he did 15% his, and that's phenomenal. That he got the concept, that he used the basic concept, and he built upon it.
Yeah.
Now he's got that for the rest of his life. Young guy. So now, you think he's going to have a problem in traffic court for the rest 40, 50 years of his life? No, he pretty much has that addressed now. He knows how to deal with it. And now that's going to spill over in other parts of his life. The township, the borough, the county. Get the basics down.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you, Alphonse. Well, like you said, most of these things are the process is all wrong. Most of the attorneys got the paperwork wrong. Most of your traffic tickets, let me just tell you, I did this myself. they wrote it wrong. 90% of them are written wrong by the officers, or if you look at it, there's a wrong statute, wrong application, wrong jurisdiction, wrong everything in there. And you just have to learn how to see with new eyes. You learn to see with those eyes. And Jesus had something he said, I don't think you've heard it, Alphonse, but it's twice in the New Testament. He said, where the corpse is, there the big birds, there the buzzards will be. Where the corpse is, there's where the big buzzards are. The corporation is a corpse, a body. That's what it means in Latin. So even Jesus, I don't know if he was talking about us in the future, but the buzzards are all over corporations, and we're the technocracy, technocrats taking us over, corporations taking over everything.
Money changers. Did he rebel against the money changers?
Yeah, he threw them out. He threw them out of the temple. One man, he
Who
told
are money
me.
changers? Who do you think the money changers are today?
Well, you know who they are.
Yep.
It's all the guys that are writing your stimulus check. And yep. Also, let me just one thing here, one summary. I did a little math. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. But I figured it out. $900 billion is how much the government wants to borrow on you and me, on our credit card, if you want. We're going to be in debt for $900 billion. They're going to throw us a bone of $600 a piece. That didn't sound like made sense to me. So I added up and I figured out in communist China, they have 1.5 billion people. So if you did the 900 billion and you divided it by 1.5 billion, you get $600. You know that? So we're getting communist Chinese wages basically for our 900 billion we're borrowing, but where's the rest of it going? You know,
we borrow more than 900 billion. Remember, it's fractional banking, so it's 10 times 900 billion.
Well, exactly, and they create that money, and that dilutes our money's value. But I just want to say, if you really divide the money up to the eligible people, taxpayers, it should be about $3,000 each minimum that we're getting. We're getting a bone of $600, but we're getting a tab of 900 billion plus interest.
You're selling your soul for $600 is what they're asking you to do.
Yeah, we're selling our soul for that, and you know, we are not that dumb. We're not that, are we? I don't know.
I think we are. I'm looking around. I think we are.
The last one was $2.5 trillion. I think it was up to 30,000 each person that our tab is, and they gave us what, $1,500 or $2,000? What did they give?
I didn't take one.
Well, you know, take it or don't take it. But I'm just trying to say, don't be a sucker anymore. We have to say no. Somewhere we have to say no. And, you know, the little baby elephant in the circus, this is the last thing. The baby elephant in the circus was tied to this big heavy chain and rope and with a big spike in the ground. And he pulled on it and pulled on it and pulled on it till he realized he couldn't get away. And you know what? The elephant grew to be a giant. And he could pull that stake out with no problem. But because he has in his brain conditioned for a lifetime that he can't pull the stake out, he won't try. Mm-hmm. So here we are. I'm sorry, but we're the grown elephant? You know, we're the elephant in the room, but we're afraid to pull on that rope. The rope will come out easy if we pull it. Just say no. Just think about it. No, don't borrow. We're not going to borrow any more money to give to Pakistani transvestite research. I think there's a $2 billion for that in this bill. But what about us? I mean, anyway, we're not going to, what's $600 going to do? I'm sorry, what's that going to get you? You know, 1 week of potato chips and beer, that's, you know, maybe. But
let him eat cake. Let him eat cake. Is that Marie Antoinette? Is that right? Let him eat cake?
Let them eat cake. Well, yeah, give them $600 and, you know, get them off our back. Yep. And let's get on to the big new year, and we're going to really rock it to them, rock them, sock them. Yep. So anyway, thank you, Alphonse. God bless you, and keep on writing those affidavits. Keep them coming, baby. And I don't know, I feel like I've been in a Godfather movie here listening to this, but you don't want no trouble, all right? We don't want no trouble.
Okay.
Hey, you want a mask? I can show you a mask. Okay, buddy? Don't get too close. Okay. Philadelphia, I love it. New York, humor. But we need some humor. We need some Christmas. We need some help. We need the Lord. And God bless you all. Bless you, Alphonse. Thank you, Jesus. We're celebrating your birth. And thank you all for joining us. God bless you. Thanks. Aloha.
Take care.